Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. The Canadiens find themselves in a 6-game win streak. They get another win here over the Tampa Bay Lightning, 4-1 in Tampa here. So another great game here. Obviously another one that, you look at the stat column a little bit, it looks like the Tampa Bay Lightning definitely did, hem in the Montreal Canadiens a little bit. But, again, the Canadiens come out with a big win, largely due to the play of Doby. He's been fantastic as of late here. He's really turned things around. He's really dialed in, it seems like. Over the past couple of weeks here, which is the perfect time, for our goaltending situation to kind of get settled down a little bit and settled in. Obviously Doby is clearly looking like our number one goaltender, and obviously, Martin St. Louis is treating him as such. Fowler, a solid option as well, but it very much looks like, this is going to be, the tandem moving forward, and, I'm very satisfied with the way that Doby is playing right now. He's absolutely, playing out of his mind, keeping us in games here, and this is another example where, if not for the stellar play of Doby in this one, we definitely do not come away with 2 points. So, a big game from him, a big game from the top line again. They always come up big when they need to. There's a couple of games where that doesn't happen, but, this one definitely, it looks like, the first line, does their work. They make things happen there, and they end up giving us those game-winning goals and all that kind of stuff that allows us to walk out of Tampa with 2 points here. So, again, a very solid game, in what could be, a first-round playoff matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning if things hold, the way that they are right now, 8 games from now to the end of the season. So it'd be interesting, of course, to see, where things go from here. But yeah, I think this could very well be a first-round matchup, and I think we stacked up pretty well against the very solid Tampa Bay Lightning, who tried very hard throughout this game to, not only score goals and put pucks on net, but also intimidate the Canadiens physically, which is something that they're not exactly, it's not exactly their strong suit. But we had Josh Anderson back in the lineup, which helped a bunch, and I felt like, the guys on their own, they held their own and they played very well physically. They stood up to the Tampa Bay Lightning when need be, and they obviously did not cave under the pressure, and it ended up costing the Tampa Bay Lightning 2 points in this one. So going over the game here, first off, in the first period, Uri Slafkovsky scores on the power play there. It's a 5-on-3 power play, which works out in our favor. Our power play is very much hot and cold in my opinion, but we come up big here in the first period. A couple of penalties being taken by Tampa there. We take full advantage. We're kind of moving the puck around a little bit. Demidov gets a nice shot on net just before, draws another penalty there, and then Uri Slafkovsky gets a pass from Demidov and is able to one-time that one home. Pass the screen and pass Vasilevsky there. So takes a 1-0 lead there on the power play. That's Uri Slafkovsky's 29th goal of this season. Demidov gets his 42nd assist there, and Cole Caulfield his 34th assist with that secondary assist there. So a great start, and obviously Slafkovsky, we can't talk enough about how well he's been playing this season. This is just another example of him just being absolutely incredible. He's almost at 30 goals on the season now, which would be pretty cool, considering the fact that, we got Suzuki, who's narrowing in on 30 goals as well. We got Kapanen, who's, in the low 20s, so, it's funny to think about how, for many, many years, the Canadiens have not had a 40 goal scorer, have very, very minimal, guys, reaching the upper echelon of, goal scoring in the National Hockey League. And now all of a sudden we've got a guy who's nearing, closing in on 50 goals here. We got a couple of 30 goal scorers almost, so it's looking very good. But Slafkovsky in general, this has been a career year for him, and he's playing exactly like the guy that we drafted him to be. We talked about that a lot over the course of this season, but this is just another example of him just being a stellar teammate, a stellar guy to lead this team here in the way that he does physically, using his body and all that kind of stuff in ways that we haven't really seen him do all throughout his career until now. So looking very good there. Obviously, good to get Demidov some points as well. Cole, I believe, after his goal later today, he is officially a point per game player for the first time in his career. So that's kind of exciting as well. Usually it's Suzuki leading the way in that category, and he still is, but it was cool to see that Cole Caulfield, aside from the goals, is growing as a player as well overall there. Jake Guentzel gets a goal literally 1 minute later, basically. obviously, partially due to, if you watch that clip back, Noah Dobson, who's tracking Gensel as he goes for that wraparound opportunity. He gets hooked like all the way through, going towards the front of the net. So I feel like kind of a missed call there a little bit, but at the same time, when you allow 37 total shots on net, you're going to get scored on at least once. And this was the one break that Tampa got throughout this one, and it benefits from Gensel being a solid player, getting Dobson to have to move laterally a whole bunch, and then wraps around the net and doesn't quite go all the way for the wraparound. It comes out in front and then puts it back kind of towards where he was, and there was a bit of a screen there going on with Evans, and somebody else was in front of the net as well. So a tough one for Doby. I feel like they missed the call a little bit on that hook, but in general you can't complain too much when we win the game. But yeah, so I mean, Jake Gensel, nice goal there, but oh well. Stays 1-1 for quite a while there, and then a little bit into the second period, Cole Caulfield, the benefactor of a very nice play from Slavkovsky, kind of a turnover in the neutral zone. Tampa's trying to break up ice the other way, gets turned over. Mike Matheson gets it up to Slavkovsky, who drives into the zone. He kind of takes the left wall, kind of driving wide there. And if you watch that replay back as well, Slavkovsky draws the eyes of three different Tampa defenders. All eyes are on Slavkovsky as he drives down the left wall there, going towards the net. And Slavkovsky does a nice job of not only drawing all those eyes, but also selling Vasilevsky on the shot there as well. He made it very much look like he was going to take, a short angle shot there at Vasilevsky, which is something that he does do and has scored on in the past. So it's not necessarily, crazy to think that he might try that. But, again, all eyes were on Slavkovsky, four guys, including Vasilevsky, but everybody was looking at Slavkovsky and did not notice, a 46 goal scorer in Cole Caulfield driving down the opposite wall, finds himself wide open on the far side. Slavkovsky makes a beautiful pass to find Cole Caulfield, and all he has to do is tap it into the wide open net. And Cole Caulfield's got his 47th goal of the season now, only 3 goals away from that 50-goal season, and he's got 8 games to make it happen. So it's seeming more and more likely as we move along in this season that Cole Caulfield is going to hit that 50-goal milestone. Well, obviously, again, we're going to knock on our wood, and hopefully that those goals come for him at the end of the season to make that happen. He's only 2 goals away here from Nathan MacKinnon as well. So not only are we looking for 50, we're also looking for that Rocket Richard trophy. We'll have to see how that all shakes out. But, obviously, as Cole Caulfield will say, we're just looking for the next goal, just looking for 48 now. And the fact that he scores there, which in a, what would be the game-winning goal there is a big goal. But a lot of credit there has to go to Slavkovsky as well, who does a nice job dragging everybody with him and then making that nice pass there. So, again, that's Caulfield's 47th goal of the season. Slavkovsky picks up his 37th assist there, and then Matheson gets an assist on that one as well. So, very nice work from all of those guys to make that thing happen. Obviously, Slavkovsky, a lot of credit there for the way that he played in this one. He had a great game. It was all over the ice in that situation, and obviously living up to his promise of feeding Cole Caulfield for goals as he's going for 50 on the season, and he's now only 3 goals away there. So, and that it pretty much is what happens there. I mean, it ends up being a 2-1 game for most of the game into the third period there. Obviously Tampa puts a lot of pressure on. The Montreal Canadiens have a few opportunities that they could have scored on as well. Kapanen had a nice opportunity. Josh Anderson got robbed not too long before that. So definitely some chances both ways, but the Tampa Bay Lightning definitely did put a lot of pressure on Doby, but Doby stood tall. The defense stood tall. Some block shots in there as well, and some solid defensive play. Which again is something that we haven't really seen from them. It's kind of a 180 on what the team looked like a couple weeks ago when we were playing those California teams. It did not look like the Canadiens were prioritizing defense at all, and now all of a sudden we found a way to kind of balance things out, play a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense, and suddenly we're winning not only in regulation but in 1-goal games essentially. Obviously we score some empty netters there, but in a lot of ways a lot of things are improving for this team here, so it's very exciting to see. Obviously we go into that third period, we get 2 empty net goals. The first one from Mike Matheson, who shoots that thing like 175 feet, all the way down the ice, and that's one way to ice a game there. Just throw it all the way down the ice and score. You love that from Mike Matheson, who gets his 7th goal of the season there, which pretty much ices that thing, and definitely gives everybody in the on the fan side of things a little breath, take a little breath and calm down a little bit. It's good to have that 1-goal insurance, especially when you got guys like Kucherov out there who can score at any time in the game. Obviously, Gensel scored earlier in this one too, so it was nice to have that insurance marker and feel a little bit more confident in the fact that the Canadiens can pull off that win. And then just for good measure, Nick Suzuki scores his 27th goal of the season on what was a 3-on-1 opportunity that he just kind of buried into the empty net there. He did have Cole Caulfield. It's kind of an interesting thing. Obviously, we talked about how Cole Caulfield does not have any empty net goals in his entire career. Never mind just this season, but his entire career. But I think, I respect the idea that, even though Nick Suzuki had him down the middle for a pass for a goal, from which will be goal 48 there, I respect the idea of just kind of, we want to not mess around with things. Obviously, if that pass gets picked off and then somehow we, end up losing that game or whatever, we would regret not having just, put the puck in the net when we had the opportunity to. So I respect the idea from Nick Suzuki to just kind of put that puck in the net and just live to fight another day. Ends up being a 4-1 win for the Canadiens when all said and done. So I definitely respect that. And obviously, we want to be ethical, right? We want to be Cole Caulfield is Mr. Ethical all the way around, so we don't want him to score any goals that he doesn't deserve, obviously. So it's good to see. I like the idea of just getting the puck in the net and let's go home, right? So I like that idea. But yeah, again, it's a great win for the guys. I mean, it's another game that on paper we kind of got dominated a little bit. I wouldn't say dominated is the true story of it, but we definitely took a lot of defensive strength for the Montreal Canadiens to come out with the win here. Tampa, obviously a very solid team, and a team we're probably going to see more than just one more time as we go into the rest of this season here into the playoffs. But I think we stood the test. And we did a nice job there defensively, and we made use of our offensive opportunities as well. And we won a game against the Tampa's best with who could be the Vezina Trophy winning and Hart Trophy winning guys in Vasilevsky and Kucherov respectively. So I think that it's a very solid team. Obviously, we know how good Tampa is and how good they've always been, going years and years back. But I think we did a nice job in all of those different categories, physicality wise, and putting some offense and defense together. And if we can, again, like as I've been saying these last couple days here, if we can continue to play the way that we're playing right now, especially with the goaltending that we're getting right now, I don't really see very many teams in the NHL that can stop the Habs. I feel like we just keep winning games. Obviously, we're at a 6-game win streak here. The only team that might be able to stop us is the Boston Bruins right now, because they're also streaking like crazy right now. And it'll be interesting to see, of course, where everything shakes out as we get to the end of the season here. But the Canadiens are playing some phenomenal hockey right now, and I wouldn't, if I'm a fan of any other team, in the Atlantic Division or the Metropolitan Division for that matter, I don't really want to be the team, to have to go against this Habs team in the playoffs in a couple weeks here. So the Canadiens are playing some very, very solid hockey, and it's great to see. I mean, it's something that we haven't really seen in a long time from the Canadiens. Is a team that's actually firing on all cylinders and actually being effective. We're only 4 points off of an 100-point season, which hasn't happened in quite a long time for the Canadiens. Obviously, we got into the playoffs last year with only 91 points here, so definitely some big improvements for the Canadiens here. And as we look at the standings in general, we are only 2 points behind Tampa for second in the Atlantic. So obviously, with one more game to play against Tampa this season, these last 8 games could prove to be very detrimental to Tampa, and optimistic for the Canadiens for getting some extra home playoff games in a couple weeks here, because again, like if we get that one, if we win again against Tampa in a few days or whatever when we play them again, and we play better than them in these last 8 games of the season here, we will end up passing them for second in the Atlantic there, which will be pretty exciting. Obviously, it's always good to have home ice advantage, especially when your home ice is the Bell Center and the Bell Center faithful. So that would be kind of exciting to see if we can make that happen. On the other side, though, on the more safe side, we are only still 2 points ahead of Boston. Boston has just been unbelievable, almost as much as the Canadiens have been. They won 4 in a row. They just keep finding ways to get points here. They just beat the Stars, one of the best teams in the NHL, one of the only teams who have already clinched a playoff spot there. So they're playing very well, but we still have a 2-point lead on them. More helpful, though, is the Canadiens have an 8-point lead on the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are in second in the wild card right now, and we've got ourselves a full 10-point lead over Ottawa and anybody else outside the playoffs at this time, which means, in my opinion, that the Canadiens have all but clinched their spot in the playoffs. Hasn't happened yet, and it probably won't happen for a couple more days yet, but I have a 10-point lead with 8 games remaining is a very good sign for what's to come in terms of us being able to make the playoffs. And at this point, I think we're just trying to play, get those points, get that X in front of our name there, and then just do as much as we can moving forward to to figure out who we play, and also whether or not we've got that home ice advantage. So again, that's pretty much all I have for this one. A great win for the Canadiens there. Obviously, we're going to be scoreboard watching every single day until game 82 in the middle of April. But we're in the home stretch, absolutely. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm very excited to watch this Habs team play in the playoffs this season. So again, that is all I have for this one. Our next game coming up is another nice one against the Rangers there. The Rangers, one of the worst teams in the NHL. So should be, a 2 points and a big win there to extend our point streak, but who knows at this point. Obviously anything can happen in this league and in this division, in this conference. So it'll be a great game to watch here. Hopefully we can get some revenge against the Rangers. We haven't won against them this season. So that is all I have for you guys on this one, and hopefully we'll get our first win for this Rangers and extend our point streak, our win streak to 7 games, and a 2-point win against the Rangers on Thursday.